I was impressed with that move you pulled. Bang.
Ooh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's me, it's G, it's DMC, the undefeated, undisputed YouTube champion. That's right, it's the Maverick, Mark Daniels, here with your Smackdown live review for August 15, 2017. And what a show it was. Pretty good show. Obviously, the big thing that happened was Baron Corbin's failed cash-in. Of course, we're going to talk about that, along with a little bit of statistics about the cash-ins for Money in the Bank. Overall, pretty good show. If I had to compare SmackDown and Raw, and I'm going to try to remember to do this every week, I thought Raw was the better show this week. I thought there was just more to the show, more excitement towards SummerSlam. On the Raw side, of course, it is the A show, so I guess that only makes sense. But I still thought it was a really good show. So let's jump right into it. So we start things off with the Indian Independence Day celebration with Jinder Mahal, the Singh brothers, a bunch of people dressed up and doing some dances, and then he had some looked like an elderly lady sing the Indian national anthem, and of course she wasn't the best singer, and the crowd ate it up. They were booing the shit out of it. This was great. Great heel heat for Jinder Mahal, setting up his match against John Cena later tonight. And then he decides he's going to talk to his people in his language, as he always does. Shinsuke comes out, cuts a promo, says he's going to beat Jinder for the WWE title. The promo was okay. You know, Shinsuke still has a little bit of troubles saying certain things, and it's just hard to understand. It doesn't take anything away from me as a fan of Shinsuke, but I could tell a lot of people, you know, they cheer for him when he comes out, but then they're just like, what is he saying? So, less talking, although he didn't talk a lot, but, you know, I'm really hoping they go with Shinsuke at SummerSlam. I think that would be a good moment, especially if they maybe plan on keeping Brock Lesnar as champion. Of course, we'll talk about that later this week when we do our SummerSlam predictions. But overall, I thought this segment was good. It gave some good heat to Jinder, which is going to lead into what happens later in tonight. With him versus Cena, and then of course him versus Baron Corbin when Corbin cashed in. Crazy night. So then we had the first match of the night, which was Natalya versus Becky. Of course, Naomi was on commentary. This was, of course, a way to kind of continue and build up their match going into SummerSlam, giving Natalya some momentum. She did beat Becky Lynch fair and square. Becky went for a leg drop, she missed, and then Natalya locked in the sharpshooter. And then to get some heat, she attacked Becky after the match. Naomi went to make the save. Natalya gets out of the ring. They kind of exchange some words to each other from afar. And then Carmella's music hits along with Ellsworth. And of course, just kind of making a statement saying, hey, I'm Money in the Bank. Both of you guys need to be careful with what happens at SummerSlam. And with what happened tonight with Corbin, I mean, I could have seen that happen with Carmella. I don't see them having both Money in the Bank winners failing, especially back-to-back. They could. I just don't see that happening. With everything that they did for this women's Money in the Bank, they did 2 Money in the Bank ladder matches for it. One where Ellsworth won it for Carmella, and then the second one where Ellsworth helped Carmella win. I just don't see her to just then lose her briefcase. I think it'd be kind of silly if they did something like that. But I thought this was great, though. The match itself was pretty good. It was a good, solid match. It wasn't a 5-star barn burner, of course it wouldn't be, but it was still a pretty solid match. I like the heel heat that Natalya got and the heel heat that Carmella got. You know, really putting some focal points on both of them. I'm going to say Naomi's going to win, and I'm going to do, again, predictions probably Friday or Saturday. In fact, at least probably Saturday after I do my NXT review. I like to do the reviews the day before the events. That way, if any matches are announced ahead of time, I got a heads up on it, and I can add it to my predictions. And speaking of Naomi, and this is the real reason why I think Naomi's going to win. So Tamina approaches Lana backstage, and she says, you know, why don't I have a match tonight? Why don't I have a title match? I want to use your ravishing beauty to give me a title match. Basically, she's trying to use Lana. And then Lana, instead of kind of arguing with Tamina, she kind of owns up to it. She's like, you know what? You're not ready yet. You know, no one fears you yet, but they will. With me and you together, you're going to crush, of course, homage to her Rusev days. You're going to crush the women's division. So obviously, there's been rumors that Tamina versus Naomi was happening soon. They've been kind of building it up anyways. It wasn't really hard to see that coming. Obviously, if Tamina is going to be the next contender for the women's championship, it can't be a heel that wins. You're not going to do a heel versus heel for the women's championship. It just wouldn't work, especially if it's one of those heels or Tamina. Now, back to Natalya and Becky. Again, the match was good. I thought Naomi on commentary was a little bland. She usually is. Kind of sad to say. She's not the best when it comes to talking. She's very athletic, and I enjoy her wrestling match. She's had some good matches. Her matches with Alexa were really good, especially the one after Mania. I think it was the SmackDown after Mania. I thought they had a really good match on SmackDown. And I think she's good. I like her gimmick. I think it's exciting for the kids. The kids love it. It's obviously not catered towards me or maybe anyone that watches this YouTube video, but I do think that she's fine in her role that she has. Now, Tamina being the next contender, especially if it's Naomi, it's gonna be a bumpy ride. If they have promos together, it's gonna be tough. But I think that's why they paired Tamina with Lana. Lana could talk for Tamina for the most part. Hopefully, we don't have one of those things where Naomi's like, "You're going to feel the glow," and then Tamina's like, "No, you're gonna feel the glow." Obviously, when she had that promo against Charlotte, where Charlotte says, "I'm gonna make you look like James Ellsworth," and she literally looks at Charlotte and says, "I'm gonna make you look like James Ellsworth," and everyone was like, "What?" It'd be great if they made that into a gimmick, but no, I think it's gonna be kind of brutal. The matches aren't gonna be great unless Tamina's just hiding something. They kept her off for a while, and maybe she's been training. I don't know. Well, she was never very excited in the ring, so I guess we'll see what happens. Then we had a funny segment backstage. We had Daniel Bryan and the Usos. Usos come up, and they say, "Daniel Bryan, hey, Us, we got a question for you." And he's like, "You want to be a third member of your rap group?" And of course, this is going back to their days on Talking Smack, where they were getting ready for the battle rap, and Daniel Bryan and the Usos did a little bit of a freestyle, and Daniel Bryan was just like, "Hey, if you need a third member, to even the odds." They were trying to recruit him. One Uso says yes, one Uso says no. They look at each other and then the other Uso's like, we'll think about it. They wanted to know who their New Day opponents were going to be, which New Day members they would be facing at SummerSlam. It's going to be Big E and Xavier. So then they said, "All right, Us, can we get Kofi and Xavier tonight?" And Daniel Bryan's like, "Yeah, man, I can do that. And they're like, right on. And the Usos go to fist bump Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan grabs their fists, and it was pretty funny. Daniel Bryan obviously acting like the over white guy. I thought it was pretty funny. And then after the segment was over, he kind of pan away, and you see Daniel Bryan just say, "They are so cool," and then he starts trying to gyrate a little bit. It was pretty funny. I enjoyed it. Might even be my favorite moment of the show. Then we had Rusev versus Chad Gable. Very quick match. Chad Gable, before all the shenanigans happened, hit a very impressive belly-to-belly on Rusev. Looked great. But immediately after that, Rusev threw him on the outside, starts beating the crap out of Chad Gable. Goes to a double countout. There is no winner or loser here, but clearly after seeing what happens, Rusev won this. Rusev launches Gable over the announce table. He lands it to the commentator's chair, picks him up, puts him on the announce table, puts him in the accolade, and just leans back into it and does not let go. Gable starts tapping out. Rusev grabs the mic, goes into the ring to cut a promo. And as soon as he says Randy Orton jumps in and hits an RKO just immediately. Very impressive. But the one thing I came out of this was thinking, why didn't Randy, come out earlier to, save Gable and be, a babyface? I thought that was a little weird, but the RKO spot was still pretty cool. I just think it was a little weird that they didn't book him to save Gable. But Randy's not really a traditional babyface anyways, I guess would be their argument. But overall, this segment was fine. It's building up some heat with Rusev and Orton. With Orton getting the one up here, even though Randy Orton has lost a lot this year as far as pay-per-view matches go, especially his 2 losses to Jinder Mahal. Actually, 3 losses to Jinder Mahal on pay-per-view for the title. The first 2 blend into me because I feel like they were basically the same exact match. I don't know. I kind of want to see Rusev win this match here. I think Rusev needs a big win. I just don't see it happening, though. If Shinsuke's going to win the WWE Championship, you can have Rusev win the feud with Randy Orton. Randy Orton just beat Jinder Mahal, the champion, so then Rusev could then claim, "Hey, I deserve a shot for the title. I beat the guy who beat the guy," type of thing. So when he's done with Jinder, maybe Rusev could be the next contender for Shinsuke and the WWE Championship. He's going to need some heels to work with. And I think, he's got a lot of good heels to work with at SmackDown. You've got Jinder Mahal, Rusev, Baron Corbin, Kevin Owens will be a good one. So there's definitely some options. And of course, you can do him versus Randy Orton, him versus John Cena again, him versus AJ Styles, of course. So there's a lot of good matches for him if he wins the title. I hope he does. And now that Baron Corbin, we'll talk. We'll talk about that when we get to it. All right. So then we had the AJ Styles apology. Obviously, last week he actually Pele kicked Shane McMahon in their confrontation with Kevin Owens, because obviously Shane McMahon is the special guest referee for their match at Summerslam for the United States Championship. And everything's been going to Kevin Owens' plan so far. He's been manipulating these two guys, getting them panned against each other, and everything's been working perfectly. AJ calls out Shane. Shane comes out to a monstrous pop. I mean, the crowd was hot for Shane. And he goes out there and, he gives them, says, "Oh, much love, guys. Much love, Providence." And then once Shane starts talking, he says, "You know what, AJ, if you came out here to give me an apology, there's no need for it. My thing here is I'm the referee. They need a referee that can get hit and come back up and be in between you two guys. And that's what I'm here for." And it was obviously unintentional, so there's no need to apologize. And as soon as that happened, crowd started chanting Shane O'Mac, and it was super loud. Standing ovation. It was good stuff. And then AJ's like, "Listen, I need to ask you something, man to man. Are you going to screw me over after that Pele kick?" And Shane says, "Well, it was unintentional. However, if you push or shove me during the match, I am an official. You can't put your hands on an official. Then I'm going to put my hands all over you." And they kind of go face to face. AJ's like, "Oh, is that a threat?" And Shane's like, "No, that's not a threat." And then Kevin Owens comes out. And Kevin Owens says, "This is great. I don't see what the problem is, AJ. He's just telling you the rules. And I love the rules." He says, "That's great because now you can't hit the referee and get disqualified to keep your title. You guys are just going to start fighting each other." And I love that. And then Kevin says, "And if I somehow bump into you, Shane, I accidentally hit you, I physically harm you in any way, you know that it's totally accidental. I, as a man, am telling you face to face, I'm even willing to shake your hand." So he goes to shake Shane's hand. Shane looks at him and says, "It wouldn't be appropriate for me to shake your hand." So he says, "But, you could shake your opponent's hand, AJ Styles." So Kevin kind of shrugs and goes to shake AJ's hand. AJ looks at him, gets closer to him, starts putting his finger in his face, and they start kind of going at it. They start pushing each other, and Shane gets in the middle of it, of course. AJ Styles goes to strike, go to punch Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens ducks it. Shane catches the fist before it hits him, and they kind of talk to each other a little bit. Kevin Owens goes to super kick AJ Styles. AJ Styles was out of the way. Kevin Owens super kicks Shane McMahon and just freaks out, and he kind of says he's sorry as he walks out. I thought this was good, just building some more tension between the three guys going into the pay-per-view. Obviously, there's going to be shenanigans involved with the referee spots. They're probably both going to actually hit the referee a couple times. I think it's going to be good stuff. And ultimately, I think this is going to lead into a Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens match. And then maybe AJ Styles will defend the U.S. title against... there's a few people he could defend it against, but I'm thinking maybe Baron Corbin. Maybe Chad Gable will get another shot at the U.S. title. Maybe Rusev. There's some few people that he can feud with. Even though I mentioned some of those names already when I talked about Shinsuke if he wins the title, but we have so many months, and obviously 1 month Rusev could be going for the WWE title, fails, go for the U.S. title, and vice versa. So there's a lot that they can do with that. But I thought this was good. I thought this was awesome. The only thing I might say that I didn't necessarily like was kind of the way they're booking AJ Styles in these segments. I don't know. To me, he comes off very heelish in some of his remarks and some of the ways he's acting in some of these promos. The fact that he didn't shake Kevin Owens' hand instead just gets in his face and starts pointing at him. And I get it. He can't trust Kevin Owens type of thing. But I don't know. For some reason, I just feel like he's coming across more of a heel and kind of a dick. And that's not really something you should be doing with your top. I'm gonna say top babyface of SmackDown, because ultimately, in my eyes, he is. Even though he's United States champion, not even in the WWE title picture right now, to me, he's still the top babyface. He's the face that runs the place. But maybe it'll lead to a heel turn for AJ Styles later on, and we can get a heel AJ Styles versus a babyface Shinsuke. I don't know. I just know that I don't know. For some reason, I just kind of feel a little weird about the way they booked him. That's all. But overall, I like the segment, though. That's just kind of being nitpicky a little bit. Then we had the third match of the night, which was the New Day versus the Usos, kind of a SummerSlam preview. Obviously, like I said earlier, Xavier and Big E will be facing them at SummerSlam, but tonight it was Kofi and Xavier facing them. And the Usos won. It was a really good match. Obviously, the Usos and New Day always have good matches. have been for a couple years now. It's not just recent. They've always had good matches against each other. And they end up winning with a double super kick on Kofi. They get the pin on Kofi, giving the momentum into their match. With this, in a booking standpoint, to me it spells out that New Day's going to win and keep the titles. However, I don't know who their opponents would be afterwards is the issue I have. And we'll talk about Fashion Peaks in a second, but they mentioned they're going to be returning in 2 weeks. And we could see Breezango versus the New Day, and I don't have a problem with that at all. But traditionally, you want a babyface team versus a heel team, and the heel teams on the roster are the Ascension, which are getting a little bit more spotlight on the Fashion Peak stuff, and I find them to be a little bit more entertaining than they've ever been. I don't really see them in the title picture just yet, although it could very well happen. The Colognes are gone, so they're not even part of the roster anymore. So I don't really. There's 4 tag teams on SmackDown right now. I'm trying to think of any other teams. I mean, there's always been rumors of the Wyatt family coming back together. By that I mean Harper and Rowan. So we could see them two partnering up. But otherwise, there's really no other teams on the roster. And I'm trying to think if there aren't any that I'm missing. But unless they just kind of throw people together, there really isn't a tag team. And one person I kind of failed to mention because he's been off TV for a while, and I wonder why. There's been rumors that Vince McMahon's kind of sour on the guy for his gimmick, which is weird because they're the one that gave him the gimmick. Or I saw another rumor that thought that maybe he was too thick, right? And that's Mike Kanellis. Where's he been? The reason why I brought him up, for some reason I was trying to think of tag teams, and he came to mind as a heel on the roster. Because you could put maybe Mike Kanellis, pair him up with somebody, I don't know. Sin Cara is a part of the SmackDown roster. Maybe put Sin Cara with somebody. I don't really know who. Oh, a team that they've been kind of putting together, Ty Dillinger and Sami Zayn. That's a fun tag team that they kind of had wrestle a couple times. Now, again, them versus the New Day could be fun. I just don't see them necessarily doing that. But anyway, speaking of Fashion Peaks and the Fashion Police and Breezango, we had the Fashion Peaks finale. And this was kind of the weaker one of the weaker ones I thought of their segments. Usually I'm very much entertained by them. And it wasn't bad. I just... it seemed rushed, and it just seemed, and they even kind of broke the fourth wall in this and kind of pointed it out. So Dango starts off and he's talking about being probed yet again, but he says mentally probed, mentally of course. And then Tyler Breeze shows up and he's wearing a dress and drag again, and they're kind of talking back and forth. Ascension show up. Before that, they say Breezango says something along the lines like, it's almost like we're making this up as we go along. And they kind of look up, break the fourth wall a little bit, which you can tell they kind of are. The Ascension show up, they return their terrible pie. And this was kind of funny. And I knew exactly where they were going with this. Not exactly, but I knew they were going to do something weird like this. So they're kind of going through the pie, and there's there's a piece of hair in there. And you can just see Victor just kind of shrug it off. Like, oh, there's hair in here. And Victor's just like, eh. And then they seen a Band-Aid. He's like, use Band-Aid, that's gross. And Victor's just like, just kind of shrug, like, not a big deal. So in my mind, I thought there was going to be like a cherry or something in there. And he's just going to be like, ah. But no, there was gluten. Oh, this is gluten. We're gluten-free. We're on a gluten-free diet. And they run off. Kind of funny. But there was a note in the pie, and it said 2B, the number 2, but spelled out with the letter B. I don't know what that means. I don't really know what they're going to do. They said that they're going to return in 25 years, and then it scratched and said 2 weeks. Crowd started laughing for that. So they're going to be back in 2 weeks. I'm assuming in action, maybe in action, or there's just going to be more segments after 2 weeks. Maybe they need a week off to kind of get some more material. I don't know, but I mean, like I said, it's one of their weaker ones, I thought, but it was still, enjoyable. I still found some amusement out of it. The Ascension are winning me over in these, so keep that up. I still find these to be very entertaining. Then we had the main event of the night, which was John Cena versus Jinder Mahal. Okay match, nothing super special. One thing, to note, Jinder did kick out of an attitude adjustment, so good for him. Ref sends the Singh brothers to the back early on in the match. Cena hits the super attitude adjustment off the top. Looks like he was about to win. Baron Corbin goes to make the save, attacks John Cena, hits him with the briefcase, and Jinder Mahal's just laid out. Unconscious, basically. and he walks out. And in my mind, I'm like, is he really not even going to tease a cash in? Like, what's he doing? No, he cashes in. He cashes in, gets ready to do the end of days, setting him up for it. Taunting him and getting ready to get him, waiting for him to get up. Cena gets on the apron. Baron goes to strike him. Jinder rolls him up with a schoolboy. 1, 2, and he even looked like he got his shoulder up, so maybe that might be a technicality, and they'll give his briefcase back. I don't know. But they count to 3, and Jinder Mahal actually wins. Rest in peace, Corbin's career. I don't know. Like it's a weird. Some fun facts. So first off, Corbin is the 3rd guy to cash in unsuccessfully to win the title. The first 2, of course, we had John Cena. He lost via he won via disqualification thanks to the Big Show. Or did he lose? Regardless, there was a disqualification. He ended up not winning the title when he cashed in. That was when he cashed on CM Punk. Gave him like a 2 weeks notice or whatever it was. And Big Show got involved. Of course, Damian Sandow lost cleanly when he cashed in on John Cena. And then, obviously, Baron Corbin just lost cleanly to a roll-up from Jinder Mahal. Fun note, John Cena was involved in every failed cash-in WWE history. Kind of interesting to note. Of course, he was one of them. And, of course, he's the one to beat Sandow. And then he costed Baron Corbin his briefcase. So I don't know what the point of this was. They didn't have to rush his cash in. They could have easily just waited, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. This could be, like I said, all a swerve at the end of the day. Maybe he gets his briefcase back. At Summerslam does a huge surprise cash in on Shinsuke if Shinsuke wins. And the crowd's just like, what? And then it comes out, oh yeah, I got my briefcase back because my shoulder was up. But yeah, we didn't tell anybody. I could see that happening. So don't be surprised if that happens. I feel bad. I feel bad for Corbin. Knowing I don't know Corbin personally, but just kind of on the outside looking in, seeing his attitude, the way he tweets at people that tweets him, the way he carried himself in that Breaking Ground series on the WWE Network, I could tell that this happening to him is probably very much upset about it. Not because he's passionate about being this big WWE champion, but because he wants to be the top guy. He thinks he should be the top guy. He's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Entitled. He's a very much, not just a character wise, but like personality wise, he seems kind of like an entitled person. So I do feel kind of bad for the guy, but at the same time, if that's it, he's not going to win the WWE title, that's great. It was way too soon anyways. I can see Corbin winning the title at some points. I just think that maybe he should have a run with the U.S. title first. Don't make the same mistake you made with Jinder. Don't give it to him too soon. Build it up. Build it up. Corbin's not that bad. He's capable in the ring. He's hated by a lot of people, so he's got some heat on him. It's not just go away hate either. I mean, people just dislike the guy, for his personality, the way he carries himself, the way he thinks he's better than all these guys on the indies and all this stuff. There's definitely something to the Corbin. He's got size. Like I said, I like his end of days. Very impressive looking move. His deep six move is also pretty cool, especially when he gets a lot of spin on it. I guess we'll see what happens. Maybe he gets to win on Cena. Maybe that's kind of his reimbursement for losing the briefcase. Gets a clean win on Cena, makes him look very strong, and maybe goes on to win the U.S. title. That's what I would do with him. Have him win the U.S. title. Let him hold it for a while. Maybe let Chad Gable be the one to beat him for it. Have him kind of go through guys. Maybe, have him feud with AJ Styles for a couple months. He beats AJ, he moves on to Sami Zayn. Maybe he beats Sami Zayn. Then he beats Ty Dillinger, and then you can go down the list. You can give him a cheap Sin Cara match on SmackDown Live one week. Why not? There's a lot you can do with that. I think that him having the U.S. title for even just a few months will at least give him some more credibility, and I think that's something he's heavily lacking. That's something Jinder was definitely lacking. At least Corbin was booked more credibly than Jinder was at this point. So if he won the title, people would be like, okay, that makes sense. It sucks, but it makes sense. Jinder just came out of nowhere, and it was just kind of weird. But anyways, guys, that was my SmackDown review. I'm very much looking forward to SummerSlam. I've mentioned this before. I'm very excited. The match I'm looking forward to the most is probably the Fatal 4-Way for the Universal title. I'm just curious to see what they're going to do with it. There's so much speculation going on right now with Brock Lesnar. He's apparently scheduled after the show. So if he loses and he's out of WWE, like Paul Heyman claims he is, then he wouldn't be able to. So it's almost, I don't know, it's almost a foregone conclusion that he's going to win that match. However, he could still lose, and Paul can just kind of like, well, you know what? Hold on, let's backtrack. I take my words back. Brock's can get his rematch at such and such pay-per-view. Maybe that's how they work in those dates that he works. I don't know. Maybe those dates are just house shows. Maybe he's just working some house shows. I don't know. But I personally want to see Samoa Joe win. I think that this is the perfect time for him to do it. I think Braun Strowman is my favorite of the four guys as far as entertainment value, but Braun Strowman still has a long ways to go. He still has plenty of time. Even though he's hot right now and you can give him the belt and it would be great, I think that if you hold off a little bit, let him get some more momentum, maybe have him win the Intercontinental title. I'd be cool with an Intercontinental title reign with Braun Strowman. I think that'd be great. Let him hold the IC title for a little while. He can even beat The Miz. I mean, even though Braun's technically a heel, he's almost a babyface at this point. You can have him beat Miz and it'd be fine. If you're not going to give it to Jason Jordan, give it to Strowman. Give it to Strowman for a little while. Let him destroy Jason Jordan. Let him destroy everybody. And then you can even have Jason Jordan be the one to beat him for it if you want to keep going with him. Give him that big win, a very credible Intercontinental title win, and then Braun Strowman can move on back to the main event. I don't know, but I just know that I don't personally want to see Brock hold the title anymore. I don't hate Brock. I like Brock. He's an attraction. Very fun to watch. I think when he does show up, it's a big deal, which is a good thing. But one thing I don't like is not seeing the title defended on pay-per-views. I don't like, at the very least, having the champion on shows. It just, to me, it hurts the product, especially a 3-hour show. It makes it seem less important without the champion on there. So I think we need to get that title off him ASAP, one way or another. Anyways, guys, these are my SmackDown review. Again, Summerslam predictions will be coming up probably Saturday. NXT TakeOver predictions will be on Friday for sure. And then, of course, NXT TakeOver is on Saturday, so I'll get my review that day, and then SummerSlam on Sunday. Again, I'm looking forward to it. The NXT show is going to be really good, too. Drew McIntyre, I almost said Drew Galloway. Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Roode for the NXT title. Again, we're going to do predictions. In my mind, I'm not going to spoil it. We'll talk about predictions when we get there. Anyways, guys, until next time, I am the Maverick, Mark Daniels, bidding you a farewell. Peace and one love.